Hello, it's Davy Mooney coming to you from the University of North Texas, where I run the jazz guitar program. Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist. Got the word way back, man. I got a bunch. Perrier Street, Live at National Sawdust, The Nine Strangers, Hope of Home, the whole Sunnyside collection, y'all. 2 Mel Bay books, with a third one on the way. And let's see, it's a Monday in mid-April here. It's April 14th, I think. Here at UNT, we're getting done with this semester. I've got a couple more weeks of lessons and classes, and then juries, things like that. But I actually wanted to talk to you all today about something else, namely giant steps. And you may ask, some of you who have been watching these videos for, I've been doing them for about 4 years now, and I actually started doing some videos from a different angle before I started collaborating with Jazz Guitar Today back in 2019. So I've been at this for 5 years now and cranking them out, most of that every couple weeks. And I've talked about giant steps in other contexts, and I've done videos on Countdown and 26-2 and Satellite, so the other sort of big three in the Coltrane changes era, that phase that he went through, that period around the album Giant Steps and Coltrane sound, before he abandoned it pretty quickly. But I've never really talked about Giant Steps specifically. And the reason I'm doing it now is because I did this thing a couple weeks ago with my students here called the Cherokee Challenge, because I was listening to some of those recordings from the mid-50s of Tal Farlow playing Cherokee at like 380 beats per minute, and then Jimmy Rainey did one the same year that was like at 300, which kind of sounds slow after Tal Farlow. And I was just thinking to my students, like, yeah, y'all, here it is 2025, we should be able to do this, right? Or at least attempt it, get close. So I had this idea, like anybody who, the person that gets it the fastest, but also the most musical, because that's always the trick, right? Can you express yourself musically and artistically at a crazy tempo like that? And the winner gets a Tal Farlow t-shirt, which I have over there. I got it distributed. But, drop my pick. So while they were doing that, they were making videos, I was like, well, I'm not going to do Cherokee, but I should kind of attempt something along those same lines, technically. So I was like, well, giant steps. When I was a student here, I was working on Trane changes a lot. I recorded Countdown back in 2007, although I did it as kind of like a samba, so it wasn't super crazy fast like it is on the Giant Steps record. And I was like, man, I should still be able to. I'm the teacher here. If they should be able to play Cherokee as fast as Tal Farlow or whatever, or at least be attempting to get it to like 300 or something, or above 250, I should be able to, I'm the teacher, how about Giant Steps? So man, I would take the time, at the end of teaching, crank up my little system, for these videos, and just try to get it to as fast as I could get it on the metronome. And what I ended up with in terms of coherence and execution and musicality, and something I wouldn't be ashamed to share on the internet, I got it to 252, y'all. And I wanted it faster, but again, I don't want to sacrifice. One thing that's good about making these videos too for me is that I have to be honest, doing the takes that I do. It's good training for the studio, where okay, that's what I sound like, that's what I look like, etc. So anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about. So now I got these videos of me playing it, so that sound pretty good. So I figured I'd do a video on it. So basically, I first started playing this song. You get the real book. You start studying jazz as a young person in the 1990s, and this tune is always mentioned. Actually, hold on a second. Take a little sip. My espresso here. This tune's always mentioned. As oh, Giant Steps. Oh my God. And you flip in the real book and you see it in there, and it looks so simple on the page, especially in the old original real books, just half note melody, with some syncopated anticipations. And, you start messing with it, and really, honestly, at this point, as I was saying, the challenge, the song is hard, obviously, but it's really the tempo. It's about trying to get through it, think fast enough to be musical, and not kind of get behind the changes, which I think happens to me a lot. And you know that original, I mean, I bet it's like 280, 290 or something like that. It's not as fast as Countdown. One thing that's interesting about that original real book chart is they have the chords listed as like B major on the head, D7, G major, B flat 7, E flat. And I didn't realize until like way many years later that the bass is actually going down in whole steps. It's the same harmony, but the bass line is like a whole tone thing. Which makes it sound so much cooler. So I try to, when I'm playing it with students, lesson, I try to recreate that on my instrument. In terms of playing it, yeah, like you hear Trane, and there's a lot of like 4-note little cells, perhaps pentatonic cells that he has together on, you know, they said there's this one. Although I was looking back at that transcription, he does play that sometimes, but it's not always that particular in that 1, 2, 3, 5 cell. He has other things that he does, but he definitely has an unending collection, or at least so many things he can play over, particularly, you know, bars like 1 to 3, and then bars like 5 to 8. Before you just have a series of 2 5s and you have a little bit of space. But the time when you have like only 2 beats, B major, D7, G major, B flat 7, E flat, and then G major, B flat, E flat, F sharp 7, B, and then it's a little easier after that. Although it's not like it's not simple after that either. I'm assuming we all know the chords, the giant steps, but after that, you know, so you go B major, D7, G major, B flat 7, E flat, then a 2 5 to G, G, B flat, E flat, F sharp 7, B, F minor, B flat 7, E flat, A minor 7, D7, G major, C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, B major, F minor, B flat 7, E flat, and then C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, top. I hope I said all those chords right while I was playing them. So, what was I saying? Yeah, it's really, I mean, you know, bars 1 through 3, and really 1 through, I guess, 1 through 7, before the harmonic rhythm, like, lets up a little bit, and you at least can take a breather when the 2 5 goes to 1, you have like 1 measure rather than just 2 beats. And I have a chapter on giant steps in, well, similar changes to giant steps, Coltrane-type changes in Personalizing Jazz vocabulary. I play on it and all that, but again, it's really the tempo. Sorry, y'all. It's really live. I'm not going to go back and edit that out. Forgive me. That's telling that I have a lesson to teach in 30 minutes. Anyway, thanks for interrupting. Now I got to remember what I was talking about. Yeah, I didn't try to really do it fast. It was more about like personalized jazz vocabulary, you know, incorporating what the book is about, you know, incorporating some written material in with your improvising and trying to work it in. But I definitely talk in the text about a couple strategies, so I try not to do the pattern thing. I try to, it's kind of like the way I want to play on diminished chords. I don't want to break the flow of what I'm doing and just be like, oh, diminished chord. I want to integrate them into the language that I'm playing and the harmony that I'm playing through their functionality. And so I think part of why I had so much trouble getting this one up to tempo is I'm trying, for whatever reason, stubbornness, I don't know, artistic expression, laziness, I don't know what it is, but I don't want to just work out, I don't know, 10 little patterns through those changes. Which is ironic because, or hypocritical perhaps, since I'm always telling students, you know, when in doubt, work it out. With this one, I don't know. I can't do it, y'all. I'm on team Tommy Flanagan, you know, for trying to play through this thing. But one thing that I talk about in the book is I call it negative guide tones, and the idea is looking at the common tones. So, and I do this positionally, right? This is the tune that actually made me really think about what I talk about in this other book. You know, being able to play the song in every little chunk of the neck, which for me is involved with the caged positions, because that's what I learned before I knew any better. But within that, so if I'm here, if I have, you know, B major, D7, G major 7, B flat 7, E flat major, I'm really, to a certain extent, I'm looking at, okay, if I start with F sharp, That F sharp is good for D7. It's good for G major. Not so good for B flat. And you would think, oh, well, can't you alter the B flat 7 and have a flat 13? I find that in this song, especially on the first 7 bars or whatever, that if you alter the dominance, it's not as effective. It's less effective because the alterations sound consonant in the previous key. So you don't really get that differentiation and tension and release that you think you're going to get, because something to do with the fact that the keys are going by in major thirds, right? B major, G major, E flat major. So back to this. So if I start on that F sharp, I can make that sort of like my pivot note almost. So when it becomes G, and then G is good for a second, and then G is good, and then F sharp, then I can stay on F sharp again, then I have to go back to G, G, F sharp, F sharp. And I'll construct lines, out of that. Let's see if I can do it. I'm not going to do it fast though, but so if I go like, so I'm not just playing that note, but I'm sort of basing what I'm doing around that little common tone that then moves up as a guide tone, rather than thinking, okay, the thirds and sevens, which would be the actual guide tones or whatever, that are changing all the time. I'm not thinking so much about that. And part of it's like an aesthetic choice of the chords are already moving so much. I sort of want to make my improvisation sound like it's moving less. Whereas if I were playing a really simple song, I might do a lot more substitutions and make things sound more complicated. So I could do that. What if I started on the major 7? It would kind of be like of the B chord. So I would say, like, what is it? A sharp, B for the D7, B, A sharp, B flat, B flat, B, A sharp, A sharp. Let's play B flat, right? A sharp again. Right? If I start on the third, let's say, I can do D sharp, D, 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 D. Okay, D works for a while, huh? D, until it doesn't right here. D is nice because it works through G major and E flat major. It just doesn't work in the key of B. So, that's kind of part of what I do. So. With each guide tone. And then the other thing would be really, like I said, positionally being able to play the song in every chunk of the neck. And that kind of comes down to scales, yes, but more like little arpeggio fragments. So I'll start here again. So like B major. Here's D7. G major 7. B flat 7. E flat major 7. G. B flat. E flat. There's a F sharp. B. And that's everything. So then if I'm, let's see, if I'm right here, I got B major, D7, G major, E flat, G, E flat, F sharp 7. I might cheat and go down here because it's kind of awkward for F sharp 7, B, right? And then let's see, I already did that, What about right in here? So here's B, D7, G major, B flat 7, E flat, G, E flat. Those are B flat 7, E flat, F sharp 7 to B. So I have the same little shapes in every area of the neck. The order of them will change though, right? So then here we got B. Let's see. It's not easy at all. Like I feel like I know it, and then I'm like, whoa. So you had B major, D7, or this could be D7, like a little A minor shape. There's B I'm playing, I don't have to stick in one position, obviously, the whole time, but then I can feel comfortable of like. And here I can go. When you're at that tempo, it feels so easy when you do it slow. Let's see. This shape this already needs work for me. Yeah, that's a little different because I got B major. Let's see, where's my B major there? I guess it's still this one, and then down to D7, G, B flat, E flat, G, B flat, E flat, F sharp. So those are kind of bleeding together a little bit. You know, when it moves around so much, you don't have to totally like strictly. I feel like back when I shed this a million years ago, I sort of had this area, this area, this area. It was almost like there were only three, just because it's so much of a, the chords move around so much. So then here, B, D, G, B flat to E flat, G, B flat, down to B major. I'm probably saying the wrong chords while I do it. Anyway, and I'm sort of skipping the second part because it's a little simpler. It's all the same shapes, like the 2 5s in those keys, but I feel like, yeah, bars 1 through 3 and 5 through 7 are really like where you can really eat it the worst. And another thing, there's a really cool video, I've mentioned this several times in videos, that Barry Harris does at his, you could Google it or search for it on YouTube, like Barry Harris Giant Steps, where he talks about like kind of anticipating the dominance. Like he says that like when you start on B major, the D7, you have to go to D7 after one beat. So you kind of go B major, D7, G. And it took me forever to figure out what he was talking about, but it kind of does make sense. So it helps you, it doesn't sound wrong, and it helps you not get behind the chord. So if I'm going, so if I anticipate each of the dominants, like by, I don't know, by a beat or a half a beat, I get. Still sounds like giant steps, but I was playing like 1 beat of B, 3 beats of D7, 1 beat of G, 3 beats of B flat 7. And again, it doesn't seem that bad the way I'm playing eighth notes right now, because if you clocked them, I'd probably be about like 180 beats per minute instead of 280 beats per minute, which is, you know, the tempo of Trane. Metheny has that version on one of the live trio records where he kind of does it as a bossa and plays it in a slower tempo. But that's kind of why I think some people just shy away from this song. Also because the melody sounds kind of goofy if you do it too slow. You really want that da, 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 ga, ga. Another version that I really love that you can find only on YouTube, unfortunately it's not streaming, but the Steve Masakowski Live at Snug Harbor version with Jason Marsalis and Bill Huntington is really cool because he plays, it's fast. It's faster than I got. And yeah, he just plays so musically. He doesn't play, I mean, he plays his language because he is who he is, but he doesn't play like patterns per se. So anyway, that's my take on it. You know, this is the song that gets us all in the end. Even Trane, right? He kind of gave up on it after probably like way less years than I've been working on it. Although I don't work on it as obsessively as he does. But like I said, I'm just happy I was able to crank out 252. So here it is. Hope you enjoy it. Giant Steps.